Well, everybody, it finally happened. I hit 100 subscribers overnight. Not overnight, it's been a long road. A long, hard road of video making. And I thank all of you who have taken part in it on the way. It's a good milestone to hit. It's not the be-all, end-all. I'm not waving in the wagons of gold or whatever. And pleasantly enough, today I also found out that apparently it's going to be searing hot in London for the next 3 months. So get used to me looking unnecessarily embarrassed as my face carries a bright red hue throughout the entire long summer months that seem to now never going to be ending. So for this video, as well as thanking everyone, you know, in the usual way, I think it's sort of customary at this point to say a big thank you to everyone who's watched and subscribed leading up to 100 subscribers. It's the done thing, and I definitely want to do that. But what I want to do for 100 subscribers is get a little bit more personal with you guys. I think it's very easy, especially when you've got a sense of humour like mine, to sort of be a bit walled off. People don't really see the real you, especially when I'm doing silly skits and stuff at the start of videos and things like that. It's sometimes hard to know what's genuine and what's not. And I've been thinking about it all day, like, what am I going to do for the 100 subscriber video? I could have done a thing where I sit back and thank everyone. I could have done, like, I was thinking about doing like an in-depth analysis of something that's really sort of meaningful to me or something like that. But what I've actually decided to do, and this was inspired actually by Michael Deutsch's 200 subscriber video. In that video, he says that we don't learn too much about the people that we follow on BookTube. The dog's going crazy. That's a fun window into my life as well. But he said that we don't learn a lot about the people that we follow on BookTube, even though we consider ourselves all friends in a way. And that's a good point, I think. Like, he makes a good point that we talk about each other's book tastes quite a lot. We chat about books, and it is a book community, but there's no harm, I think, in sharing a little bit more about ourselves. So I'm going to do this video called the Get to Know Me video. I hesitate to call it a tag. It could be a tag. If you want to make this a tag, make this a tag. I give you my permission as a newly minted centurion of BookTube. So this is the Get to Know Me tag. So, question one for the Get to Know Me tag is very simple. What do you want to tell us about yourself? So, for my part, my name is James. I don't say that in too many videos anymore. I used to. I used to start videos with like a little intro. Like, everyone's got their own little intro on BookTube. And mine, I used to say, my name is James, and I'm here to talk to you about, and then I'd say like whatever it is the video's about. That was like okay, but I don't like rehearsed intros so much anymore. It's not for me, so I don't do those anymore. But my name is James. I'm 26 years old, which puts me on the sort of mid road of booktubers, I guess. Lots of booktubers obviously are quite young, university age people, very young. Like, back in my day, I did a degree as well, and that's true. I did do a degree. I am a graduate. I'm an undergraduate of sociology and criminology from the University of Kent in Canterbury. A very obviously a prestigious institution. It's got me exactly where I want to be. So yeah, I've got a degree, and at the moment my career is that I work in a GP surgery, and I'm a receptionist there. I do other things that are outside of the receptionist realm. I handle things like the referrals and dictations. I sort things out for the doctors there, and I really love my job. It's got its testing moments, it really does, but overall I would say I'm probably at the moment happier with my sort of working life than I've been in a very long time, probably ever since I left university. So I'd sort of started out as more of I thought I'd be like a sales guy, and it wasn't for me. And the reason I think it wasn't for me is because I'm not confrontational enough for it. I didn't want to push people. I didn't want to harass people. I didn't want to feel like I was making people do things they didn't want to do and manipulate them. And that's not for me. That's not the sort of guy that I want to be. So it didn't work out. But now I'm helping people in a way. I'm not saving lives on the daily basis, but I probably could. I do know basic life support, so I probably could save a life. How magic is that? So let's talk about the next part of the tag. That's just a little bit about me, a little bit of a warm-up. The next part is, who's your favourite author? I don't think it would be a booktube video if we didn't talk about books in at least some way. I've unfortunately buried my favourite author's works underneath some other stuff. So, with the magic of editing, I'll put it into my hands now. So this is the collective works of Emily St. John Mandel. This is an author that I discovered a couple of years ago with her newest novel, which is Station 11. That's one that's done a lot of rounds on BookTube. A lot of people really liked that one. I think it's because it's more of a sci-fi book. Her other works are not so well known. I definitely this one for sure. Like, obviously, it won awards and stuff. Did it? What did it win? The Hugo Award or the Nebula Award? It won some award. So that book won an award, and so people obviously gravitated towards it, and they found this book. And I've been trying to encourage people since to read her other books. So her other books are, in order of publication, Last Night in Montreal, The Singer's Gun, and the Lola Quartet. They are all more along the mystery contemporary side, and I think Emily's gone on record as stating that when she wrote Station 11, it's because she didn't want to be pigeonholed as like a mystery writer. But these books came along in a time in my life, especially, that was incredibly timely, a serendipitous time in my life, especially Last Night in Montreal, because when I read this book, I was in a bit of a rut, not sure really what to do with my life, obviously getting older, degrees getting more and more useless, and there was this book. Basically, what this book is about is it's a girl who runs away with her father when she's a little girl, and just sort of moves city to city, and then she meets like this guy, and then runs away again to Montreal, and he follows her there, and then he's trying to find her. That's the plot of the story. But there's a moment in there where he's sitting with his friends in a coffee shop, and he's talking about like these guys who are like, oh yes, blah blah blah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to travel, and he says something along the lines of the inaction of it all frustrated him. I'm butchering obviously the quote because like, it's Emily St. John Mandel is a fantastic writer, but that's the gist of it. Like, he's saying like the people like it's the inauthenticity of people saying this stuff and never really doing anything about it, and like that was me, like in that moment. Like, I was like, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I never did any of it. And like that's one of the reasons I started doing BookTube, was like for a long time I watched videos and I was like, I could do that, I could do that, I just don't want to, you know, if I did this I would do that, blah blah blah, and I never did anything with it, and that was sad to me after reading that book and others by her, and I think she's just got such a poignant way of cutting through to the heart of like a modern day young adult condition, and by young adult I don't mean like a 17-18 year old, I mean like a 23 to 28 year old, like that middle of the road between being a kid with everything ahead of them and an adult with everything going on and then behind them, sort of like that middle stage. And these books mean a lot to me, and I hope she continues to write more books and I read them all. I just will. So there you go. Favourite author, Emily St. John Mandel. So let's talk about the next thing on the list, and that's the favourite movie. My favourite movie of all time is Rocky, starring Sylvester Stallone. Now, you might think, if you've never seen Rocky, you might think, what an idiot. Isn't that film just about punching people? But just take my word for it. Like, if you've not seen it, take my word for it. And if you have seen it, you probably already know. But like, this is one of the most earnest and heartfelt stories I think that has ever been committed to film. There's a reason that all the inspirational sports movies rip off this film. Like, it's so meaningful to me personally because like every time I watch it, I'm inspired to be better. Like, I'm inspired to find my own worth. Just as Rocky is. And there's a great moment in this film, like spoilers if you've not seen it, but there's a moment in this film where he's just finished training. Like, it's after the big training montage that everybody knows. It's after this big training montage. It's the night before the big fight with Apollo Creed. Like, he goes to the stadium, looks around, goes home, and his girlfriend says to him, "What's wrong?" And he just says, "I can't win." He says that he can't win. Like, all of this effort, all of this worth, he can't win. And so she says to him, "Well, what are you going to do?" And his reaction, like, it just sticks in my mind. Like, it's the most poignant, like, mood-altering line in the whole movie. Like, he just says, "It doesn't matter whether or not I win this fight. I just want to go the distance and prove I'm not just some bum from the neighborhood." Like, that's so perfect. Like, it realigns his whole goals. It realigns the audience's expectations. Like, this is an underdog story where we're now not just rooting. We're not rooting for him to win. Like, it set us up so that we know that he probably can't win. He knows he can't win. We're expecting now that he can't win. But he can still achieve his goals. Like, you don't have to be the very, very best to be worth something to yourself. You just need to know what you're aiming for and set expectations for yourself and meet those. And that's so fucking good. And I love it. I absolutely love Rocky. I love Rocky 2. I don't love Rocky 4 or 5. Those are bad. Don't watch those. Rocky 3's alright, but it's like it's going bad. And then like Rocky Balboa, it's like Rocky 6, and then Creed, they bring it back. So if I was going to suggest anything, I would watch Rocky 1, Rocky 2, and then maybe just skip to Rocky Balboa if you just sort of accept that Apollo Creed, whatever happens to him happens in the meantime. So that's my recommendation for Rocky, my favourite film ever. If you want me to ramble more and more about Rocky, let me know in the comments, because I'd probably love to do a video on it at some point. So the next question is your favourite TV show of all time. All-time favourite TV show. Now, there are a lot of great TV shows. There are. I won't have anything said against television. Lots of good quality stuff out there. But none that are quite so good to me as 24. That's correct. 24. The first 8 seasons, and there's another season, and a TV movie. And it's amazing in how silly it is. It's about a super special, super secret special agent called Jack Bauer, and he's played by Kiefer Sutherland. You must all know what 24 is. He runs around, he shouts at terrorists, he always is betrayed, he gets shot, he gets killed, he's brought back to life. It's amazing. The whole show of 24 is incredible. The opening scene of 24 sets the whole thing up so perfectly, in that a woman jumps out of a plane in the middle of the night, in the middle of the desert, with a parachute, and just lands perfectly where she's meant to land, and blows the plane up. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. 24 is really dumb, and it gets really silly, and like it loses me towards the end. But I think on the whole, there's not been a better force in my life than 24. This is a show that brought me and my university flatmates together. We watched all the seasons. It's a thrill ride. It's something else. It's amazing, and that's my favourite TV show, 24. So the next item on my list is not something I can actually show you physically. My favourite band, my favourite artist, and my musical taste in general. My favourite artist at the moment is a band called Tegan and Sara. They're sisters. They co-wrote that Everything Is Awesome song for the Lego movie, but like their main body of work is so much different to that. It's kind of strange that they did. They're very, very good. They're fun to listen to. They've got great lyrical content and stuff. I'm not really like a music reviewer, so I can't really talk that intelligently about it. But Tegan and Sara are my favourite artists. I'm really getting into hip-hop recently, like rap music, like old school rap music, so Ice Cube, NWA, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and then like Kendrick Lamar is killing it in modern rap now, Joey Badass I really love, and then of course I'm like a big goofball that loves all the weird pop music stuff. Like I'm really big into Ariana Grande. Halsey is killing it at the moment. Lord's come out with a new album. The new Haim album is really good. So that's my musical taste. There's not a lot to say about it. I think music is one of those things where you'll like what you like, and I think you shouldn't really overthink it. Otherwise, you become like a dick. So the next one. This one's a bit of an odd one. Your favorite sport. Yes. Believe it or not, I do like a sport. I don't like a lot of sports. Not a big like sports fan. Being in England, you're sort of expected to like be a football fan. I can't stand football. I'm sorry if you really like football. I'm talking about soccer for you American viewers, but I can't stand it. It just drives me insane, especially with the whole hooligan culture. Like football has always been one of those things. It just doesn't do it for me. However, I am a big fan of basketball. Basketball. I own a basketball. So yes, I'm actually a big fan of basketball. I've always really liked basketball. Just because it's a more energetic sport, it's more exciting. In football, soccer, you've got situations where teams will play for an hour and a half and none of them will score. No one will score. If no one scores, what's the point? It's so boring. But in basketball, like, you're just scoring like every 20 seconds almost. Like a lot of the time there's a score going on, there's things to talk about, there's things happening, and that's why I love basketball. Obviously my favoured team is the Charlotte Hornets, formerly the Charlotte Bobcats. I just like their style, I like their look, I like their arena, I like their announce team. I think they're really cool. So anyone who is a Buzz City fan, hit me up, I guess. Let's talk about basketball. That's always fun. Right, so the last thing on my list, my last question of this tag is: reveal to everyone your most secret, deep, dark, guilty pleasure. It can be of anything. It can be music. It can be TV. It can be film. It can be books. It can be video games, whatever. Mine is a TV show. It's not anything like 24. In fact, it's probably the polar opposite of 24. It's probably something you'd never expect unless you really pay attention to my background scenery. It's One Tree Hill, everyone. I'm a big fan of One Tree Hill. How did that happen, you may ask? How did I, the most cynical, grown-up, super professional, grown-up adult man of all time, end up really enjoying a show for teenage girls? Well, let me tell you a story. It's called having 3 hours off in between classes at college. When I'm at sixth form college, that's doing A-levels, I guess it's like the final years of high school for you American guys. I would come home because there was a break between lessons, 3 hour break, not worth hanging around the college for. So I came home, put on the TV, and like One Tree Hill was on like all the time during that time frame, and like I started watching it and I was like, this is stupid. Like, this is stupid. Like, angsty teens doing silly things. And then what happened was I learned some of the characters' names. And I think once you learn some of the characters' names in something, you sort of have to watch it. It's a weird rule I have, but that's sort of how it goes. So I learned the characters' names, and then I was invested, wasn't I? And then I had to watch it, and I watched like all of it on telly. And then I bought this DVD box set. And again, like with 24, when we finished 24 at university, I was like, what do you want to watch? Do you want to watch One Tree Hill? Do you want to watch One Tree Hill? And like people were like, yeah, go on then. So we did. We watched One Tree Hill, and it cemented itself as a favourite TV show of mine. I will never really talk about it to anyone. No one would care to discuss the goings-on of One Tree Hill with me. My favourite scene ever is when Dan has his donor heart eaten by a dog. Okay, but yeah, it's a brilliant show. It's really stupid, but I can accept that, and I love it. I've got no shame. Come and shame me then. Come and shame me if you want to. Everyone will unsubscribe and this will no longer be allowed to be a 100 video special. Well guys, that's it. You've journeyed deep into my favourite things, into a little bit about my life. So I guess I can just finish this off with a few more thank yous to all of the people that have subscribed to me, that have watched my videos, and most importantly, to the people that very recently have helped this channel grow by generating such amazing discussion about books. For a long time, I was sort of getting a bit frustrated with the whole BookTube thing, not being able to connect and talk with a lot of the people on here because they all talked and read about things that I didn't really get into. But recently, that's all changed, and I'm really thankful for that. And yeah, I mean, there's not really anything else to say other than thank you for watching. And I guess because this is a tag, I have to tag some people. So I tag Michael Deutsch, Curtis from Curtis Books and Films, Kelly from Let Me Take a Shelfie. I tagged the Book Brood, and that's it. Anyone else who wants to get to know people in the community on a more deep level than just books, do this video, I guess. Do it, and I will see you next time.